right. Welcome back to our Speak Life podcast. My name is Mark Mead. And then, as you know, when we speak life, we're looking to sow seeds today for tomorrow's harvest. I have two very special guests with me. I'd call them VIPs, Hayden and Nina Hill, good friends of mine who are just the salt of the earth kind of people. And I want to say savages, but they're very good at what they do and they love people. And I'm happy to have them in today. I think you're going to learn a lot about them, a lot about what they do, a lot about what they cut their teeth in, and how they speak life to people every day. So welcome to Speak Life.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Mark. We're pumped.
Well, we're pumped to have you. You guys are great. And, you know, as I've gotten to know you better and as we've gotten closer, it's been an honor to kind of just learn the way you two work off each other. But I want to know a little bit about you two. I think our listeners want to know about you too. I want to know a lot about you guys. We have listeners from all walks of life. This podcast is a newer podcast for us, and we want to know some of the things you guys do to sow seeds into people every day. You guys have been trendsetters in your line of work, in your business as entrepreneurs. I'd like to know, what about entrepreneurship that gets you excited? Start a little bit with your journey, and then we'll go into a lot of what you guys have done from an entrepreneurial standpoint.
You started off?
Yeah, so, I mean, just going way back, I didn't really know what I wanted to do growing up. Wanted to do something, obviously, where there was good money, impact, stability. When I was 18, I thought stability, has to be stable. And so, actually, when I was 18, I got introduced to this network marketing company. Didn't really make any money, but for like the 9 months I was in it, learned a ton about like personal development, like setting goals, finding your why, like just kind of like more mindset things that just kind of shifted my thinking, because I had never thought about being an entrepreneur or anything like that. I just kind of thought of like, do I want to be a doctor? Do I want to be a lawyer? Do I want to be, Wall Street? Like, what do I want to do? Yeah. So did that. Company got shut down after a while. Wasn't a good thing. Didn't really make
Dude, I know this journey very well.
Didn't really make any money, but I learned a ton. And so after that, I was finishing college, and towards the end of my senior year in college, I was looking for something to do, and I had it narrowed down to sales. And I was thinking like, do I want to go into mortgages, insurance, real estate? What sales avenue do I want to go into? And
is that because of that network marketing business?
Yes.
Did it teach you that sales is where you wanted to be?
100%.
Got it.
Yeah, I saw 18-year-olds, 25-year-olds, 30-years, 40-years, 60-year-olds. Doesn't matter the age, just crushing it, being their own boss. And so I knew that was kind of the way I wanted to go. And so one of my friends, he got introduced by one of our buddies' dads to an insurance company. He was studying for his test. He posted it on his Instagram or Snapchat, I think. And I hit him up and I was like, hey, what is that? He told me about it, and I got licensed there shortly after. Did that thing for 3 years, did really well, built a team, but there were some things that I didn't really agree with and like. And so funny enough, I resigned and went into like a W-2 medical device sales thing.
Really?
Because, I was just burned out. I thought that, I wanted stability, having benefits would be nice.
Now, was someone in your ear about this? Did you have counselors, people you talked to? Or was this you telling yourself, I need something more stable?
I think it was me telling myself. This was, I was probably 23 years old. So it's actually funny because we had been dating for probably like a year or so. We're living in this 1-bedroom apartment, and I literally did 4 job interviews in a span of like 2 weeks. And I got each job, and I lasted at every job for either 1 day or the fourth one was 2 days.
He would come home in his like little suit that
Suit and tie
to his first day, and you could just see the look on his face. Like, he was not meant to go into an office every single day.
And the main reason why is because what they told me usually was, oh, yeah, you can do this. You can make this amount. You can do great. But then when I got into the office, I saw the plaques and the awards. and I saw the amounts of like the best month, the best year. And I'm like, wait, that's not what they told me. So if that's the best and that's kind of like the tone right now, how like I'm doing the math. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
And so literally quit 4 jobs in a row.
All similar structured industries
They're
type?
all different.
Okay.
Tech sales, medical device. I actually almost got my mortgage
License.
I passed like the pre-licensing. I had to go take the state test.
Wow.
And then the last one I got was medical device. Did that. That was actually, a great job. It was interesting. It was totally different. And then COVID hit. And at that point, they were like, hey, no promotions. This was in December of 2019, right before everything started happening, like January, February. So Nina was crushing it. I got licensed part-time. I was kind of, selling a little bit here and there on the weekends and at nights. We were still in person at that point. And then I was pretty much like, what do I have to lose? I want to be my own boss. I want to be in control of my destiny. So seeing her and all these people, I switched over, and then kind of the rest is
How
history.
long did it take for you to come to that realization? It feels like you kind of pivoted out of necessity, or what you told yourself was necessity, but then you kind of got your lungs back and you started breathing a different kind of oxygen that said, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah, I think this is super, super important for people that go, they create a business, no matter what it is. Obviously, most people are coming from a job, W-2, hourly, whatever, salary, whatever. Confidence, you have a ton of fear. You're like, hey, like I'm making this uncomfortable. What if, of course it'd be great if I do great, and that's the goal. But what if I fail? And what if I lose a ton of money? What if I don't have income for 6, 9, 12 months? And so the breaking point for me is I started selling insurance again part-time. And, it was just after 2 months of selling on the weekends and at night. And I started making way more selling insurance for like 6 to 8 hours a week than I was my 40-hour job, when I was in hospitals at 5 a.m. to 4 p.m. It was like the most boring job ever. And I kind of was just like, dude, what am I doing? And what I always tell my guys and people that are going full time that are nervous or scared is like, do you believe in yourself? That's one of the main things. The second one is, do you know the product? Do you know like the sales pitch? Okay, you do. The third one is, are you going to work? And if you can check those boxes, if you're confident, if you know the script, you know the products, you know everything about the job, and then you're going to put in the work, you're going to do awesome. But if you don't have all three of those, good luck.
That's huge. Whoa, what a great tip. Now, most people will tell themselves, maybe somewhere quietly, that they want to run their own business, okay? But that first one, do you believe in yourself? That is massive. What would you say to someone if the answer is no, or if the answer is maybe?
I think typically the biggest thing, Mark, about any business and going into business for yourself is a lot of people have came before us and done well in any industry you can think about, anyone, for hundreds of years. And so the problem is a lot of people, when they come in to a business, they start a business, like the basics are so important in keeping it simple. Typically, most times they want to go into business, but they also want to try to recreate the wheel.
Yeah.
And dude, if you don't have the funds and the experience and the resources, and you try to do that, you're out of business within 3-6 months, easy.
Yeah.
But if you just keep it simple, and it's boring. We've been doing the same thing for 8 years. It's really boring. Like picking up the phone and calling clients, it's boring. Right. It's all the same now. The sales thing, it's boring, but boring works.
Right.
And boring scales versus trying to recreate the wheel and do it yourself, because you're gonna get lost.
Love it. Mrs. Hill?
Mark, I'm pumped to be on. I'm pumped to share our story. I mean, it's been an amazing journey for us. But to kind of start this off going way back, so I was born in Serbia. I moved to the U.S. when I was 3 because of the Yugoslavian War. My family had family in Arizona, so they were like, hey, let's go to Arizona. And when we moved, like, everyone sees this American dream, right? So like my family was like, oh, we're going to America. And my family back home was so jealous that we were going to America. Like it was this big thing. And I grew up with really, really strict parents. Like they're super old fashioned, old school. Like they're like, go to school, get your master's, doctorates, get a great paying job. We'll cover all your school expenses, all that. as long as, you're living with us and you're actually really focused on school. So it was actually, I always knew I was different. Like I had something in me that was just like different. I feel like I think differently than a lot of people. I don't know. My work ethic was just different. And I've always been super, super disciplined in anything I've done. So whether it was, like I've done like the fitness competitions, like I've always been really disciplined with that. With any job I've done, with school, like if I have my mindset to something, like I'm doing it, I'm getting the job done. So I remember starting this job, and it was customer service actually, and it was customer service for a network marketing company. And the company was like a skincare product company, and I was basically answering these network marketers' phone calls and going through their commissions. So there were these network marketers calling us. Yeah, they were like,
fun.
"Hey, why didn't?" Yeah, it was awesome. So basically, these guys would call in and say, "Hey, I never, I'm waiting for my commission. When is that going to pay out?" Or like, "Hey, I'm missing like this paycheck. Like, can you add that in for me?" And looking at some of these guys, I'm like, dude, some of these guys are making 200, 300 grand a month. I'm like, what am I doing here? I was literally making $14 an hour, like answering their phone calls. And so the CEO of that company at the time, her name is Betty Perez. She owns this company. She was 26 years old and a female. And I remember coming home from this job to my parents, and I was in college at the time. And I was like, hey, like, I don't know what I want to go to school for. Because initially I wanted to be an optometrist, like an eye doctor. Which
Really?
Is so, yeah.
Was
And
that your parents? Did they birth that in you, or
Yes.
did you?
No.
Okay.
My parents were like, you need to go to school for something, so pick something.
Got it.
And my dad was always like, the medical field's going to be great, so
Got it.
pick something in the medical field.
Got it.
So I started, I was doing like my prereqs for optometry. And then shortly after, I took a dietetics class, a nutrition class. And I'm like, okay, well, I kind of like this. And I told my parents I wanted to switch it. They lost it. They were like, you're changing, like old school, right? They're like, once you like do something, you got to stick to it. But at the same time that I was in school for dietetics, like I set my mind on that, I was working for this company. And, just the girl that owned the company was 26 years old. She's an entrepreneur. She crushes it. And I remember going home to my parents and I was like, I think I want to do something like this. Like, I feel like I'm going to end up doing something that's not what I'm doing in school. Like, it's going to be something completely different. And my dad went off on me. Like, no, you're not. Like, just went off. You're going to go to school. You're going to get your master's. You're going to get your doctorates. Like, that's why we came here. Like, we didn't come here. We're not paying for your school for you to not do that.
Were you pleading your case when you went to them and said, I think I want to do this, because you felt the pressure, you knew what was coming?
It was argument after argument after argument, like every day. And Hayden knows it too. Like when we started dating, he's like, "Why are you always arguing with your parents?" This is wild. So long story short, I ended up getting my bachelor's in dietetics, and I was like, you know what, I want to use this degree in a way. So I started my own personal training business. I was doing meal plans. I was training clients, and it was actually going really well. And I was just like sitting there I was alone in the gym one day, and I was like, okay, I'm doing this right now and it's great. But the way the fitness industry works is like everyone wants like the best, like hottest thing on the market, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, if I'm doing good right now, like I might not be doing good forever. Like what's going to happen when I'm 50 years old? Who's going to want to train with me? Like I didn't really see the longevity in it. And I had a bunch of friends get started in the life insurance industry, and they were posting on social media like they were like the wealthiest people in the world. And
Wow.
I was like, okay, let's give this thing a shot. So passed my insurance exam, and it's been amazing ever since.
Dude, I mean, amazing is an understatement. You guys have set the pace in a lot of different places and have been an example to so many people. When I think about that, it inspires. I've been very inspired by watching you two. When you think about lessons or pieces of advice that you've learned from your entrepreneurial journey, what do you think is something that would reach people?
I think not being afraid to fail, and not being afraid to fail over and over and over again, and getting super freaking uncomfortable. And another thing is that this is supposed to be hard.
I like that.
And if it was easy, everyone would freaking do it. Everyone would be wealthy. We'd all be multi-billionaires, right? But it's not. And every day there's different challenges and things that we have to overcome, but it's how you act in those days that are tough, and how you overcome the tough days that really matter in business.
100%. Along this journey, I 100% agree with that. I think that overcoming challenges is the biggest thing we face day to day, you know? Sometimes I say we're professional firefighters. Like, I wake up at 8 a.m., there's a fire,
Yeah.
you know? And, you know, but as young entrepreneurs, you guys are going to inspire people throughout your journey. And you inspired thousands already. And this, you know, getting past challenges is not supposed to be easy. Why do people think it's easy? Why do people think that it's supposed to be easy, Nina?
Well, I think just people like, I think of us in our business right now. I think people look at us and they're like, oh my gosh, Nina and Hayden, they came up so fast, like they're crushing it. But they don't see what goes on every single day.
Right.
Like Hayden said, people see like how long we've been here and the fast success, but they don't realize that we've been doing this for 8 years. It's been
Right.
8 years
point,
of
yeah.
freaking grind and putting out fires and selling a lot of insurance and headaches and people quitting on us.
Yeah.
And, you know, in those 8 years, have we wanted to quit 5 trillion times? Heck yeah, of course.
Sure.
But it's, you know, we as leaders, we have to show people how it's done. And at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, people see the outside looking in, but they don't see like what we go through on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I think for anyone that's looking to start a business or go into business, you know, for themselves by themselves, protecting your mindset and your environment is so critical, especially in today's, you know, landscape of everything's on social media. We see all the highlight reels, we see everyone posting their stuff, but you don't see the bad stuff and you don't see the journey. You just see, oh, like overnight success, but they don't know the actual journey. And that you have to go through the journey to get it. Like some people get lucky, and after a year or two, they're really successful. Most people, it takes them a while, and it's a lot of lessons learned. But surrounding yourself with like-minded people,
Right.
with positive people, you know, whether that's, you know, your family and friends, if that's the case for you, lucky for you. Most people, it's not. But you have to really make sure you're guarding your mind and your environment, what you see, what you hear, what you read, what you think, and you can go seek mentors. Like we grew up in the era of YouTube University, like people like Bob Proctor and Jim Rohn and Maxwell and all these guys that had done all these things. They taught me all this stuff about mindset. I looked at their business. I watched them, Warren Buffett. Like I learned lessons and read books and learned from them versus like family, friends, parents. If they didn't have success in business or in specifically the business I was going into, I love them, I appreciate them, but they can't teach me anything. And typically the 3 phases, at least that happened to me, that I think most people go through when they start a business, is the people around them. The first thing they say is either, Mark, you're going to either do really good or it's going to be the best lesson you can ever learn. You're going to learn so much. And what are they thinking? They're thinking you're going to fail and you're going to learn. And so like when I heard that, I'm like, okay, bet. Like I'm going to show you. The second one, once you start having success, is Mark, make sure you're saving for taxes. make sure you save your money, Mark. It's not going to last forever. And the third one is they ask what you're doing and they ask if you're hiring. And that's 100%. And a lot of people, especially the people that are close to you, people you grew up with, people you know, they know you from before. They don't know you, you know, where you're headed, what you're going to accomplish. So typically for them, it takes time. It takes a few years to see the success, and then they're number one fan. And they want to they want to get involved. They want to buy your product, whatever. But at the start, dude, it's lonely. So you have to go seek out mentors and keep positivity, and it's so important because if you listen to other people, like dude, they can put you out of business faster than you can yourself.
Oof, that's so good. God, that's so good. That's like just shaking me right now. Like, God bless. It's so true. You know, you can put your business, you can put yourself out of business faster than they can put you out of business faster than you can do yourself. You know, if you don't get the right people around you, you're gonna sink. But you sought those people, right?
And I think another thing too, Mark, is that you look and see people in your business doing things, and everyone, like, dude, there's some people that are way smarter than me, way smarter than us. Some people are way more talented, but for the most part, like, they're all just regular humans. And like, I remember for us, like, our first big insurance conference, when we were looking, you know, to get started with the company we're at now, like, we saw these people, whether they're 40, 50, 60, 20, 10 years experience, 10 days, or, 40 years. And I think it's really important to realize, like, if they can do it, so can I. They're more advanced. They have a journey. They've gone through these lessons. But if they can do it, why the heck can't I? There's nothing special about them. And I think that helps a lot of people. And mindset-wise, it takes the pressure off you. You just follow the system and do what they're doing, and you're going to have success.
And ask questions. That's a big thing, too. Like, one of the things that we were always really good at is seeking people that were doing way freaking better than us and asking those people questions. Like, I'm not going to talk to a 5K month producer. I'm going to talk to someone that's doing 40, 50, 60. Because the ones that are doing 5 always have something to complain about. And that's in any business, not just insurance.
100%. Nina, what would you say about these 2 words, work ethic?
It's freaking grind. And
Because you're legendary for your work ethic and setting a pace in that way. But talk to young entrepreneurs, aspiring female entrepreneurs. What about work ethic is important, and how do you view it?
the way I view work ethic is following through and just doing what you say you're going to do. Like, if I have these huge, people always talk about like manifestation and like, oh, I want this out of my life, or I dream of this, or they write down like the 5 things they want out of life. But that means nothing if you're not working towards it every freaking day. So like, yes, we do vision boards, we do all that, but like, I'm not just going to look at a vision board. I'm going to do whatever it takes to actually make that come to life.
Right.
So I think it's just respecting yourself to do what you say you're going to do. If I have a big goal for myself, whether it's to lose 5 pounds, to make 10 grand this week, to do whatever, like, I'm actually going to follow through with it. So I think like in order to do that, you have to respect yourself. And especially if you're in a leadership role and people are watching you, like, people are watching what you do every single day.
Right.
And like, if I tell my team like, hey guys, I'm going to do this, and I don't, do you think my team's going to respect me the next time I say I'm going to do that? Absolutely not. So work ethic is just doing the dang thing.
That makes sense.
I think a lot of people, they have a good work ethic too, to be honest. I think it's a lack of direction. Something that we've learned over the years is a lot of people, like, they don't even know where they're headed. They have no why. They have no goals. They're not working towards anything. And if you put yourself in that position, then it's like the work, you're going to get burned out or have a bad day and be like, why am I doing this? Visualization is one of the most important things that we've been doing for years now. And it's like, dude, what you listen to, who you listen to, what you see, that is so important. And so, like, we have vision boards. We put all this stuff we want to achieve for the year. And when we achieve it, we take it down and put a new picture up. We put it in our phone. I swear, every single day, seeing it in the office, seeing it in our room, whatever, it just, like, subconsciously,
That's great.
It's so important. And the people that are kind of stuck, whether it's a job or it's their own business, they probably don't have that, and they probably don't have a why or know any goals they actually want to hit.
That's strong. Hayden, when you think about pivotal points in your business, points that could have made it, points that could have broken it, can you describe a situation that you were in that pushed you up against the wall and made you fire back and kind of was a catalyst for where you are today?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first one, or one of the first ones, was I almost quit the insurance industry. I was pretty much like, I'm not doing this anymore. I did okay, but I'm sick of seeing people not do okay on my team. And so I pretty much almost quit. Thankfully, I saw Nina and a bunch of people that we knew, start doing well at a different company. And kind of that belief of, if they can do it, I can do it. I'm confident, believe in myself. I'm going to learn these things and know it. I'm going to work hard. That was definitely, I think, one of the biggest ones. And then, I mean, every day there's things that happen, good and bad. And some of the things that happen that are bad, it's really easy to go down that negativity path of like, dude, like, I don't know if I'm going to make it. Right. I'm going to quit. But what I've found is, if you just keep on pushing and you keep on working, and also, like, mentally you're positive, you're grateful. Being grateful is very, very important.
Yes, sir.
It's like you bring in more blessings versus something bad happens and you go negative. Dude, like, you're blocking your blessings if you're negative,
100%.
I think as a female too in this business, like, I guess they say guys are more emotional than women nowadays, right? But I guess as a female in business, like I have always dealt with like a lot of emotions. Like when things are going good, I'm on cloud nine, life's good. But as soon as like a bad day would hit early on, it was like the end of the world. I'm
Wow.
like, I'm quitting. This is the end, right? So I think like it's very important to learn how to manage that. And the way I personally did it was I just got super freaking busy. Super freaking busy. Because when you're so freaking busy doing the things that you're supposed to be doing, you have no time to think about all the other BS that's going on.
Now, did you find that out on the back end of being
yeah.
super busy? Or did you say, I just need to be super busy?
No, absolutely not. I learned by going through it, right? So like in our business per se, like we sell insurance to clients. So like I knew that if I had a day with little to no appointments and I didn't sell clients, that I'd be super in my feels and in my emotions, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I didn't sell something, it's the end of the world.
Right.
But the next day when I had a jam-packed day full of seeing clients, like, and I had a great day in sales, I was like, dang, like, okay.
God.
But the only difference between the day before and that day was I was just busier, and I had more to do, more going on. So if someone told me no or a client told me no, I knew that the next one was going to maybe tell me yes, because I just have so many appointments that day. So that's relative to our business, but I guess in anything, really.
Yeah. Now, you guys are sowing seeds every single day. You know, you have a massive team. You've recruited a lot of agents in your business that also do what you do. They meet clients, they sell life insurance, they help clients really all over the country. Is that fair?
Yep.
When you look at somebody that you want to try to help or someone that you recruited into the business, how do you view sowing seeds to these individuals?
It's extremely important. I think just starting at the basic level of, understanding their why, what goals they have, that's extremely important. Kind of getting to know them, because if you don't have that basis, it's really hard to coach and correct the path if they get off path. So that's extremely important. And then besides that, the people, that do the best, in our business and just in any, sales, entrepreneurship, whatever, it's the people at the start that ask a ton of questions and they just perfect the process. I always tell new people, like, I'm a huge fan of reading books, listening to audios, all that kind of stuff, motivational, learning new things, of course. But when someone starts in any sales role, the single most important thing when you're starting is perfecting your sales script and your sales process. Nothing else is going to make you any money. You can learn about motivation, you can get fired up, you can learn about investing down the road. But like the number one thing is that script, and that's what's going to make you money today. When I started, Mark, it's funny, and my dad always makes fun of me, but we had this like 7-page sales script, and I literally printed it out in my bedroom, taped it to the wall, and I would take videos of myself reading it at first because I had no idea what I was doing.
Good for you.
And I would listen to it in the car, the audio, back when we had to like plug in the phone into our like the wire in our phone,
the aux.
So I would listen to it, and it was so bad when I first started. But every a couple of days, I would redo one, and then once I started getting more familiar, I didn't have to read it anymore. I would just recite it, and then I would check myself if I lost my spot, and then after a few weeks later, it was all in here. And so that's like the number one thing between good salespeople and bad salespeople is like, if I put you on the spot right now and you were a bad salesperson, you would stutter. You wouldn't even be able to get the intro out. You wouldn't even know what you're doing.
Right.
Versus a good person, I could hit you right now and you would know it right away. Mm-hmm. You would nail it. And that skill, that's the number one thing you have to master in your first couple days, first couple weeks of the job, because that's going to be the only thing that actually makes you money today. Versus all the long-term stuff, you can worry about that later, but today you have to master that.
That's strong. How about you, Nines?
I would say just going back to the why to answer your initial question, just going back to everyone's why and why everyone, like we have agents that, on our team specifically that come in that are ready to freaking rock from day one. They're putting in the work, right? And then we have agents that are slow starters, and I can relate to that because I was there. Like, it took me a whole month to make my first sale in the insurance industry, but I just needed a different style of leadership. And I think everyone's just so different, and everyone kind of needs different leadership. So when I hop on an initial call when bringing someone on board, I'm kind of learning what kind of leadership style that they need. Do they need a little bit more hand-holding? Are they one of those people that's just like, dude, I'm going to figure out, I'm going to fail forward, and I'm not afraid of it? So I'm kind of looking for that. And then from there, I'm kind of seeing which coaching style I'll do with them.
That's amazing. Wow. So you have the ability to adjust to the person that you're working with.
Yep, absolutely.
And you view that based on what they want and why they want it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the reason why is just because I've been there. Like Hayden was my first trainer in the insurance industry. How bad was I? And how long did it take me?
You want to hear a funny story?
I do.
It's pretty funny. So I think it was in the summer. It's always hot in Arizona where we live, but I think it was in the summer. It was probably like 110, 115, 120 degrees.
Wow.
And Nina's first training day was we were going to go out in the field and we're going to see clients. And most of those clients lived in mobile homes and RV parks.
Okay.
And Nina's first presentation, she crushed it for the first half. And then when we got to the sales part, she paused and she said, and he's going to take it from here. And I looked at her like, what did you just say?
Yeah, he did not see it coming. So he was just like, okay, but he ended up selling it.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, and
This is how you guys found out you had great chemistry.
yeah, Nina was like door knocking people and stuff. And then, you know, she just got really frustrated. She's like we're dropping you off. Like, I'm going to finish out the day.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just, here we are now though.
Yeah.
But I think why that happened was everyone is nervous, but some people don't even make that jump. Some people won't even do that because they're too nervous to fail.
Wow.
Versus when you start, dude, you're not going to be good. Like, you are going to suck
Right.
at whatever you do.
Right.
But I had a really good mentor when I first started in insurance, and what he told me was there's going to be two type of new agents. One that's going to take all year to get 100 presentations in, because that's when you're really going to start to kind of know and get familiar with what you're doing. Or there's going to be dudes that finish it in a month and a half, 2 months. So which one you want to be? Because the one that takes the whole year, I don't know if they're ever going to have success. They're like a rabbit or like a turtle. They're taking forever. Versus you can be the one that gets off to a fast start and get that under your belt now. And that was super impactful.
I think also just like being transparent with everyone from the start. I let every single person coming on board with me, I let them know that it's going to be hard. And I give them like 90 days. Like, hey, here's what we're going to do in 90 days. And if they commit to something and they don't do it, now I know how much time I'm focusing on that person, you know?
Makes sense. I love it. How do you approach risk-taking and decision-making in your business?
This is funny because we always talk about this because obviously we're in business together, right. And we're similar but very opposite. I'm like one of those people, there's option A and option B. Immediately I'm like, A, let's do it. Where he's like, okay, let's think about this. Yes. Let's talk this through. So we really balance each other in that way, out in that way. And there's been situations in our business where my quick decisions were the reason we exploded.
Right.
And there's been moments where thinking certain things through were the reason we exploded. Nice. So I'm a big risk taker. I'm like, I'll spend every single penny in my bank account today because I know that I'll get it back tomorrow. Like, that's just, I've always just been like that. Where he's a little bit more logical, but I mean, you could go either way.
Yeah.
So doing this together, and after hearing that, who wins most of these decisions on right now, or wait, let's deliberate, let's be a little bit more methodical? Who wins those?
I would say now I think it's pretty balanced in terms it's kind of like act quick, but let's think about it real quick and weigh both sides.
Got it.
You know, we're always trying to get better in terms of like being better leaders and that kind of thing. And you need to make decisions quickly, but also we've learned is you also need to think them out, because once you make a certain decision, it's going to have a long-term effect. And if you make the wrong decision, or, you know, maybe it's you go off on an employee or go off on one of your business partners, sometimes you can't recover from that.
Right. We've learned that the hard way. And that's the thing. It's like we started in this business at like 20 and 21, and now we're 28. And it's like we still are learning every single day. Like, we just kind of like got put into this leadership role, and we really didn't know what we were doing from the start. Like, we could barely handle ourselves, let alone like a massive team of agents. But we've learned, and we've talked to people like you. Like, how many times a week do we call you for advice? Or, you know, other people in our industry that crush it. But I think that's the thing, is asking questions to the right people and just really not being afraid to learn.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I don't know though.
Let, let's
Yeah.
let's touch on that. That's one of the most important things is reaching up. Like we always talk about, like most of our close friends, they're all older than us by a decent amount. And the reason why is because like one, like we like learning knowledge from them, but also experience. It's like whatever business you're in, if you're new or if you're even a couple years into it, you're still relatively new. You may not know the exact answer, but if you reach up to someone, I guarantee they've been through it or they know someone who's been through it. And so then the question goes back to, okay, like how do I seek out those people? And if you're new in any business, I think the way you seek out those people and build those relationships is one, you got to get uncomfortable and meet people, introduce yourself. But two, you also got to earn the relationship by your work ethic, by asking them good questions, by knowing your stuff. And if you can do that, those people are extremely valuable. Versus if you don't have those people, it's such a more of a windy slope than just a straight line because you know what they've been through and kind of how to navigate.
That's great because it kind of answered the question I was going to ask because you see you have these people on reserve. Like you see the value in keeping these contacts with you. And I've always looked at life like that.
Yeah.
Like having people that are further ahead. We've talked about this,
Yeah.
on the marriage journey, on the parenting journey, on the business journey. I've always sought out people that were ahead, way ahead, because I don't know what bumps I'm going to hit. It's entrepreneurship, as y'all know, is a very windy road, like very windy.
Yeah.
And I mean, the amount of bumps and bruises along the way are crazy. I don't think I would have made it through without people I could call.
Yep.
Right? But I don't know if anybody's been as, I want to say aggressive, I want to say as assertive, I want to say as able to take the knowledge that y'all have taken from people that you've called on as fast as you. Which is why you're trendsetters in this business, like in trendsetters as young entrepreneurs. You're going to speak to entrepreneurs forever for what you've done already and what you're doing. It's just unique to me to see the way your approach to entrepreneurship and your journey has been, which is just commendable. But we live in a world today that is kind of, riddled with anxiety and even depression and burnout. And I want y'all to speak to this because, when you think of work-life balance and preventing burnout as an entrepreneur, how do you view that?
I think that burnout is normal for anyone. You can reduce it by, having, good people around you, having those goals, that vision. But I think one of the most important things that we've learned is you almost have to, if you're doing this like serious, like your own business, you're serious, you're trying to really make it happen, you're trying to do crazy big things. You almost have to mesh, not forever, but for a little bit, your life and your business. Like,
That's good.
Our breakthrough year was 2 years ago. And it was like during like all of COVID, it was craziness. And we took right around 100 flights that year. And we took no vacations. It was cool because what we were able to do is when we would go work in different parts of the country, we would work our butts off for 3, 4, 5 days. And then maybe a half day before our flight or the day before our flight, when the work was done, then we had a really quick like mini vacation, mini break. And I think like now, we don't go on many, but like when we go on trips and vacations, like 3, 4 days and we're kind of like, all right, like I'm done. I want to get back to work.
Yep.
And whereas before, dude, it used to be like a week, 2, 3 week vacations, you don't do anything. And it's just like, whatever. So I think blending them, but also, realizing in the first couple of years, there's no work-life balance.
Right.
There's no work-life balance. You have, it's a 24/7 thing. You're the only one now. Once you start scaling it, there's ways to get that work-life balance back. you hire great people to do things, you know, they're probably better at than you anyway, especially in sales. Like no matter what kind of business you're in, sales and recruiting, sales and training, those are the 2 or 3 skills that like are money-making activities you have to do. So then if you can delegate your time to do things that maybe aren't the best use of your time, but they're necessary in the business, you start getting that back. And then after you've mastered it and scaled it after a couple of years, then, you know, you can like, dude, we still work all the time on the weekends, but for a span of like 3 years, we literally worked, sometimes Sundays we take off, but it would literally be 6 to 7 days a week, like seeing clients plus all the other admin stuff. And it sucks, dude. Like we missed so much stuff. It sucked, but we just knew like, you know, if we do this now, we won't have to do it in the future. So.
Yeah. I think it just goes back to like why you're doing it to begin with. And we always talk about this. And like I said, we have our vision board and we have our why. But we really had to get intentional. Like at a young age, you know, a lot of our friends are partying. They're going out. Dude, I go on my Instagram and I look at my old friends and I'm like, dude, this girl's been in Cancun for like 3 weeks. Like, does she have a job? Like, what does she do, you know? But for us, it was like, we had to have like a really intentional conversation of like, hey, here's why we're doing this. If we make these sacrifices now in our lives, and sacrifices include things like not seeing family, and it was so worth it because of the things that we're able to now do for our families. But really like getting intentional with what you want out of whatever you're doing, no matter what industry you're in. And then from there, like that's your goal, that's your why, and you're striving for that every single day. So when those days do come that you're burnt out, which we've had tons of those days where we've wanted to quit, it's always going back to that. It's, okay, why are we doing this? Why? And that why changes. It's not always the same thing. Like, and in the beginning, the why is money for most people in most industries. The thing is like, let's make a load of money, right? And then once you have that number, that magic number, whatever it is, for some people it's having $5K in their bank account. For others it's 5 million. Like whatever that number is, once you hit it, like, yes, like money's your why in the beginning, but it has to be more than money. And for us, it's family, it's our future. It's you know, we don't have kids yet, but we plan to. Like we're working hard now for what we're looking for in our future. And that's something that we're always thinking about and talking about. So
I love that so much. You guys know I'm a huge proponent of marriage. Congratulations on your nuptials. You guys were recently married this year. Amazing. One of the best weddings I've ever seen. And, you know, it's amazing. You guys were dating with a vision, as most people do who are thinking of getting married, but you were business partners while you were dating with the vision of marriage and a family. You know, what do those conversations look like? You talk about, Nina, saying, hey, we have to kind of revisit this all the time. We have to stay very current with our communication around what it is that we want. How did you walk through that as boyfriend, girlfriend, business partners, wanting to get married, wanting to start a family? What were the challenges? What were some of the things you guys had to communicate through to overcome?
I mean, there's been so many. To begin with, like we're super like just structured and like timelined people. So we knew like it's so funny. Like if Hayden pulls up his notes in his phone, he has like 2023 goals, 2024 goals, 2025 goals. So like for us, we knew that by age 27 we wanted to be married. And we knew that we wanted to kind of live our lives for the next year or two before having kids. Like, so we're really structured in timeline. So I think like for us, that's always been huge, just like organization in that sense. You want to add to that?
Yeah, and I think, you know, just having, obviously like people have their own whys and everything and goals, but also together. And I think a huge thing, whether you work with your spouse or not, which most people don't, but you have to, I learned this from Andy Elliott, you have to bring them with you. You have to bring them in. Most of the time when you're in your business, even if it's a corporate sales role, you're on Wall Street or something like that, like, dude, you're working your butt off for the first couple of years. And most of the time you're going to be with your coworkers way more than your family. And you can't neglect the family, because then they start thinking like, like why, like maybe they don't care about, like all that stuff starts going on. And so I think making sure you're on the same page, but also bringing them with you instead of against you, that's super important. And especially for like young people, everyone, but especially for young people, a boyfriend or a girlfriend, or even like a husband or a wife, they, like I said, dude, they can get you out of business quicker than you can yourself, if they're not on the same page and if they don't understand why you're doing it. I think it's a lot easier to understand from your spouse. Like maybe they're thinking, oh, they don't want to hang out with me on the weekend. Well, if they know why, he's working on Saturday, he's working on Sunday, he's working on Friday night till 7:00 because we're trying to accomplish X, Y, Z, then it's like, okay, cool. Like, thanks for working hard. But if you don't communicate that, and it's like all they do is work, they don't even care about me.
Wow.
Then that's a way different situation. That's so important. You have to make sure that you guys are on the same page with that.
Yeah. I think also, like, obviously we're in business together, but first and foremost, we're in a relationship together, right?
Good.
So we always put that first over everything. Like our business arguments, whenever we have any, which we do, is business. It's not freaking personal. So we don't bring any of our personal stuff into that. And vice versa, which we had to work on, because in the beginning, if we'd argue about something personal, I'd bring the business into it, and he'd get so mad, and I would too, So I think just kind of learning to separate the two. Amazing. And then spending intentional time together. When we're on with like our work stuff, we're on. That's all we're talking about. That's all we're doing. I'm not talking to him about our next vacation.
Right.
But when we're like, hey, it's date night, we're going on a date,
Sure.
We're not going to talk about work.
Right.
Like, this is our time. Like, we're growing together, like, on a relationship level.
Yeah.
We're talking about our future. We're talking about our future kids, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
It's just separating the two. That's huge.
You guys are just so inspirational, man. And obviously we've gotten closer and closer, but listening to you, Nina, and knowing your value on family, and just like, I don't have this like dynamic in my marriage, so I never heard that before. Like, that's the first time I've ever heard that, of we need to communicate this way. And when we're as business partners, we can't bring business. It's because it's so easy.
So
You're
easy.
sitting there, and it's like, oh, we don't have anything. Like, well, what is our next vacation? How are we talking about a vacation right now?
Yep.
I'm trying to close this sale, or I have a Zoom in 5 minutes.
Yep.
Like, the amount of intentionality that takes, I can't overstate or understate that. And I've never heard that. So that's really awesome. And I think I just had a vision of what y'all can do from a teaching standpoint of what couples in business together, because it sounds like you have a good piece of that down cold. Obviously still working on it, getting better every day. But man, that's good stuff. That's great stuff.
Have you ever heard of someone say like, oh man, I could never imagine working with my spouse. I could never imagine working with my family.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people say that, right?
Yes.
My answer is like, how could I imagine not doing that?
Wow.
Because if I have a clear vision, we're working hard, we're going towards something good that I 110% believe in, I'm working as hard as I can. Why wouldn't I want those people who I trust the most, by the way?
Wow.
Why wouldn't I want them to be with me on the journey and do it?
That's so good.
Versus the opposite,
That's so good.
And in business, like, we have so many, obviously we both have strengths and weaknesses, but we use those in a positive way. Like, some of my weaknesses are great, some of his weaknesses are great, but we just mesh together so well. And again, it's something that we learned over time, because in the beginning, yes, we were always bumping heads, but over time it's just been getting easier and easier, and we've been kind of figuring out what works for who.
That's so good. You guys were blessed to have an opportunity to sell your business to Integrity Marketing Group, a large aggregator of life, health, and wealth companies on the private equity side. To do it at the age you did it at, and just be in the position that you're in. Do you all ever think about the blessings? Do you ever think of, like, what did that do for you, your mindset, and just your future?
It's so crazy because we got paid, obviously. And one of the first questions after you get paid, X amount of money, is how did it feel when that money hit your bank account? And we didn't feel anything. Like, the thing is like, our job's not done yet. Right. Obviously, like, it's been amazing. It's been great. Integrity's resources have been amazing for us. but there's still work to do. If money was the motive for us, we would have stopped probably working, but it's not.
Makes sense.
Like, we have people that we want to bring to the top with us, but not only that, we have bigger goals ourselves. Just like you, we talk about our huge goals all the time together, and we're like excited. But that's it. And honestly, like, when we signed and closed on our integrity deal, like, we sat there and we talked about like all the things and sacrifices and hard times, good times, great times, horrible times that it took to get to that point. And we're like, every tear, every emotional day, every time that we wanted to quit was so freaking worth it.
Yeah. I mean, money's great and money's a necessity, but money's just a tool. And I think I saw this the other day. There's difference between being financially free or having financial freedom versus being wealthy. And when you're broke and you have to look at your bank account and worry how you're going to fill up your gas tank and pay your bills and pay off debt and everything, it's really hard to go from there to financial freedom.
Wow.
Financial freedom doesn't mean you're a millionaire or a gazillionaire. It means not having to look at your bank account when you make a purchase.
Strong.
Not having that anxiety always. That's way harder to go to than it is to go to financial freedom to wealth. And once you hit a certain amount and the anxiety's off, and now like business is really fun if you're in the right business and you like what you're doing.
Sure.
Doesn't matter how much money you make. It's just like you want to keep on expanding, and it's like a game. You know, it's like you're playing a video game. And it's like you're playing Roblox, building the restaurants. Mark, shout out Mark's kids. But it's really true. Once you get to a certain point, like I mean, dude, I have this awesome friend who's a beast, and he's one of the top network marketers in the whole world. And he's been working his butt off since I've seen him for 13 years now. He's going to speak at convention. It's going to be awesome. But he always talks about like, dude, when I got the Rolexes and the Richards and the Patek's and all these watches, I have my Cullinan, like my Rolls Royce, everything. He's like, dude, it's awesome for the first couple days, first couple weeks. And he's like, dude, it's just a watch after a while.
Wow.
I hop into the Rolls after the gym all sweaty. Like, it's just a car now. There's water bottles and crap everywhere. It's the truth. It's the truth, though. It's crazy to think about, but it's 100% the truth.
Yeah. And we've had situations recently, Mark, where we've talked and been like, dude, like the money, I'd rather have like my health and you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like those conversations are just different, I guess. Now. And it really stops being about the money.
It's so huge. And it's, what you're saying is a byproduct of killing it.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're able to have these thoughts that most people want to have, right? Because you kind of slayed a dragon or you slayed that dragon, which puts you in a position, like you said, from broke to financial freedom, right? Financial freedom to wealth. It's a different beast, but it becomes a sport, right? And, I really appreciate that. Last question. What harvest are you believing for tomorrow?
I think, for myself, it's, I really enjoy now seeing other people have a lot of success. When I first started, it was about making a sale, and it was that adrenaline rush of like when you make a sale and you get paid, you help the client out, they feel great. And I still love doing that. But now it's more on impacting people and seeing their like, dude, there is nothing better. And it's the broke to financial freedom. Right. It's not like if someone becomes a millionaire, that's awesome. Like they're amazing. And they did all the work. Yeah. But when you can help a ton of people go from broke to not having to worry about money in their bank account, that's insane. And usually a byproduct of that is they become a way better person. Like it's really hard with a bad mindset and bad habits to achieve that. But once you kind of build yourself up as a person, it happens. And then you see the change. And then it's like you see their mind expand. And it's like, okay, why can't I do this? Right. Why can't I buy this house? Why can't I do that? Yep. And that's, dude, it's so cool. It's just like you watch like a movie unfold in front of your eyes, and you're like, wow.
Yeah, and it's funny because we have mentors that have said like, oh, it's been so fun watching you guys, and like from where you guys started to where you are now, and it's like we view our team and the new people that we bring on board the same way, and like genuinely, like there's been people whose lives we've seen transformed from people almost losing custody of their kids to
Wow.
now having their kids full time, to from living in a shack to having like 7 rental properties. Like we've seen that firsthand, and it's so exciting. And there's just, I mean, there's so many more lives that we're going to positively impact
Yeah.
on our time on earth. And I believe that genuinely, like, we were put on earth to help people, and that's exactly what we're going to do.
That's amazing. You guys are legends. Legends.
Likewise.
And I am like honored to know you and to be associated with you and to watch and to be a part of some of these conversations. Thank you for joining us on our Speak Life podcast. Hayden and Nina Hill, just salt of the earth. Thank you for listening. We appreciate you. We're going to continue to sow seeds. We're going to continue to reap a big harvest. God bless.